Look who's back. It's Johnny Cakes Allville.
Let me see if I remember how this machine works. Let me press this button here. Oh, there we go. Bank 7, number 44, httr. It's an 11-win victory Monday. Something that hasn't happened in freaking 33 years.
Playoffs.
In these parts.
They're in the playoffs, Cakes.
They're in the playoffs.
They're in the playoffs after a 4-win season. You know what? Credit you. When we went through the schedule,
Thank you. Credit me.
You had them with 11
that.
wins.
I did somehow. And I don't know how I got to that number.
You had them with 11 wins.
Not sure what that sorcery was, what that black magic I was concocting over here. But
the irony is, and I will call myself the P word,
okay,
is that all offseason, I preached the Houston Texans turnaround being possible.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I was mocked, including by you.
There was probably some mocking,
And somehow, I was the P word and ended up with a 7-10 season. You went with an 11.
So, JP, sometimes you just got to put them out on the table and be bold with some of your predictions. And an 11-win prediction in the offseason was certainly bold because we didn't know exactly what Jayden Daniels was or would become. And look, I'm not going to get into the back and forth to drab, have him admit that he's elite, that he's a superstar. He's in his rookie season, he's pretty much playing close to superstar level. To get them to 11 wins after a 4-win campaign out of the wreckage of the Ron Rivera era here in Washington, D.C. I mean, just what a remarkable accomplishment, a remarkable rookie season for Jayden Daniels.
He's having an amazing rookie season.
Yeah,
anything can happen. CJ Stroud looked elite last year. Mm-hmm. This year, he does not. But right now, in this moment, Jayden Daniels is doing things that nobody expected. The team with 11 wins with 1 to go has far surpassed most everybody's expectations. And the kid's setting records. I saw this last night, retweeted it at Junks Radio. Jayden Daniels is the only NFL quarterback in the last 30 years to go 5 for 5 or better with no sacks and 40-plus rushing yards on a single drive. He did it in overtime as a rookie to clinch a playoff berth.
And that's a pretty big sample size. 30 years is a pretty large sample size to call those stats and information from.
His legs are amazing. He ended up with 127 yards on 16 attempts, which really has carried the running game really for the last 3 weeks. While you haven't been here the last 2 weeks, one of the discussions we were having was what happened to the running game that was led early in the season by Brian Robinson. And obviously, a week ago, Brian Robinson fumbles the ball twice. You can see they're weaving in Chris Rodriguez more, McNichols a little more. But Jayden is carrying the running game.
He's had to.
The last 3 weeks, when you look at the rushing statistics, it is by far led by Jayden Daniels. And it's not just that he gets the yards, it's when he gets them. I mean,
they're critical.
Any third down, any fourth down, it seems like, let's just have Jayden run. He'll figure it out.
Look, I tweeted this during the game last night. Dan Quinn, he has the ultimate luxury, and Cliff Kingsbury too, of any 4th and short, and I mean like 4th and 4 or less, is almost an automatic go for it with Jayden Daniels under center. Because the threat of him running and his relative ease of picking up first downs on 4th and short it's uncanny. Like he has extra downs to play with as this offense is marching down the field. Like it's not an automatic, it's 4th down, we have to punt. It's, well, how short is the 4th down? Is it under 4th and 5? Then we're probably going to go for it. And they're converting it at a spectacular rate. It's like over 85%.
Keep playing the music, Cakes. The story starts and ends with Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
But what a catch by Zach Ertz. Because that was a dart. That was a dart from Jayden Daniels.
I mean,
to hold on to that ball.
He should have had a hat trick because he dropped one in the end zone earlier in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, that's a hat tip to Adam Peters and Cliff Kingsbury because he worked with Cliff obviously in Arizona.
I thought he was washed.
A guy that Jayden clearly relies on for big catches in the red zone. Now look, he's not going to win any foot races, but he gets open and he makes big catches for this offense. A very good offseason signing to come in, and I mean, he's made Ben Sinnott a guy on a milk carton. Have you heard anything from
No.
Ben Sinnott? I haven't heard anything from Ben Sinnott in weeks.
Get a lot more from Bates.
Even Bates is getting catches. I think he got his
Right.
8th last night, and I shook my head when he got his 8th catch of the season last night. But yeah, Ertz, I mean, what a remarkable signing. I think it was a 1-year, $5 million deal to help ease that transition for Jayden Daniels as a rookie.
When the field goal is kicked,
Yeah.
and it looks like it's going down the middle, did you think it was a loser?
I thought it might have been a loser, but here's what I had in the back of my head. I was like, that's Riley Patterson.
Right.
He's a Commander's throwaway.
Reject.
For a team that's desperate for any sort of kicking talent. I saw him out on the field and I said, well, there's a good chance he misses it. It's a 54-yarder.
Plus it was windy.
Yeah, and he's Riley Patterson. He's a guy that the Commanders looked at and said, you're not good enough for our weird carousel kicking situation. No thanks. We're going to pass on you. Once I saw that it was him, I had some confidence.
Not to get too far away from what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But did you see Cade York for the Bengals? That's another
Did see it.
Commanders kicker reject.
Yeah, that was also.
He has a gimme basically to win the game for the Bengals. They're fortunate they won.
Yeah.
And he just yanks it to the left off the field goal post.
That was also a knife straight to the heart for me fantasy-wise. Because
really?
It brought Joe Burrow back out of the field, and he throws another freaking touchdown.
Yeah, but you've got Jayden.
That's in a league where I got eliminated.
Oh.
Different league.
Wow.
Now I've got to hold on and hope George Kittle and Juwan Jennings don't go nuts tonight. But that's beside the point. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Here's what people care about. 11 dubs, clinching a playoff spot, and Jayden Daniels, he's the truth. He's just the truth.
Like I said.
And for Commanders fans, it's only going to get better from here. This is him doing it. He's throwing the ball to Zacchaeus 100 times last night.
Yep.
Like the talent around him is going to get layered in such a way over the next 2, 3, 4 seasons with Adam Peters at the helm instead of that saboteur Ron Rivera picking the players. Just imagine how much better it's going to be when there are better players surrounding Jayden Daniels. And look, I know it's not a chart, this is a graph that's going to go straight up. It's not linear, but this should be like the baseline for Jayden Daniels. And that should terrify all the other teams in the NFL. If he's this good as a rookie with, Terry McLaurin and, let's be honest, a lot of cast-offs surrounding him.
It should, but I mentioned the Texans, and the Texans improved their receiving core, and, they've had injuries this year.
I'm already convinced he's light years beyond C.J. Stroud.
Okay, but
C.J.
Stroud had a great year last year.
He did.
And people were talking about him as being a top 5 quarterback potentially. So, look, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
In this moment, he is carrying this team. They had a 3-game losing streak. That was a tough stretch. They've now won 4 in a row. They're 11-5. If you want to chime in, it is Victory Monday, brought to you by Chiniga Miles, 2024 Top Workplace. Visit careerswithmios.com. You can chime in. Like I said, the story starts with Jayden Daniels and it ends with Jayden Daniels. But there are a lot of things to talk about. They might not be the 7 seed. They have themselves in position now to be a 6 seed. And with the 6 seed, you're going to face a lesser opponent.
Right.
The Eagles with a guy I never heard of from Stanford just demolished their opponent yesterday. So I know you just beat the Eagles, but I'd rather not face the Eagles in the first round.
There's something to play for in the season finale at Dallas. So there's not going to be any resting Jayden. There's not going to be any resting the starters. There's still playoff positioning that they're playing for this upcoming Sunday. And as a quick aside, going back to the game against the Falcons, I'm sorry, Raheem Morris is a buffoon. He's buffoonery at the highest level. And
they did it both halves.
You tweeted about it last night.
Yeah, because you've always preached the clock management specialist.
It just blows my mind that these are multi-billion-dollar organizations. and they can't figure out timeouts. These are guys who've been
Well,
around.
that's the job of the coach.
These guys have been in football for 30 years.
Especially these coaches that aren't calling plays.
I mean,
he's not calling plays.
Do these guys think that are they going to get like a merit raise from the owner if they go in with the extra timeouts that they're saving, that they're not burning at the end of games?
Correct me if I'm wrong. In the first half, they had 3 in the bank.
Yeah, it befuddles me. I'm terribly vexed by it. I don't know why these guys do it, but it's an epidemic. It happens all the time. And Raheem Morris, the latest guy that was in the spotlight.
And you got to thank the Falcons. It's not to take any credit away from what Washington did, because Washington had to make plays, but they went 3 and out, give the ball back to the Falcons. The Falcons have a fairly long completion, but in the middle of the field with 2 timeouts and about 30 seconds left. You immediately call timeout. And also, you have 2 timeouts left.
Is Zach Robinson, is that the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons? We should send him some sort of gift basket, because all Bijan Robinson was doing in the first half was slicing and dicing and cutting up this Washington Commanders' horrible run defense. And that's something we'll get to later. I'm sure we'll talk with John Keim about it. I think they were 29th ranked heading into the game. And then in the second half, and I know part of it was due to the Commanders holding on to the ball a ton, but they just completely went away from Bijan Robinson when he was destroying them in the first half. So thank you to Zach Robinson, Raheem Morris, for more buffoonery, from going away from your best player, especially with a rookie quarterback making his first road start in Michael Penix.
Well, like you said, the time of possession difference, especially in the third quarter, was amazing.
Right.
The Washington Commanders dominated the clock. There was a 3 and out by the Falcons. So, I mean, they tried to give Bijan the ball. He got stuffed on that drive, and then they didn't get the ball back. So did they go away from him, or they just didn't have the ball?
I don't know. Thank you for whatever you did. Thank you for keeping the ball away from Bijan, whether it was more the Commanders doing it or just offensive play calling malpractice by the Atlanta Falcons. Either one was fine.
There were massive plays throughout the game that maybe turned things, and you could talk about Atlanta botching. I agree with you. The timeout usage was horrible, but in the end, Washington had to make plays, and Jayden made plays. His legs on that last drive, I mean, how do you defend that?
No, you can't.
I felt like there was a moment in the season, now it was against the really good teams, when they had that 3-game losing streak, where I thought that defenses were throwing a spy his way and were limiting his legs. But maybe it was he was still recovering from the injury and wasn't running as much, because the last few weeks he's running all over the park.
Yeah, and the 70-yard touchdown drive was almost exclusively Jayden Daniels.
I mean, think about
his legs.
The 4th down last week, and he runs for like 22 yards.
Right.
And then some of these runs last night.
He's special. He's the 20th leading rusher in the NFL as a quarterback.